Today in Portage Pulse, breaking news this morning as a building in Kent exploded into a large structure fire downtown. What was the response from the fire department? And it's important to know your on-campus resources when it comes to protecting yourself.
Ukraine's current status in the war, along with Biden's hope to end the war in Ukraine. All these stories and more as Portage Pulse starts right now.
Watkins, Lieutenant Caldwell will all be convicted of obstructing proceeding and several other charges.
I think there's zero proof of January 6th.
Good afternoon, Portage County, and welcome to this week's episode of Portage Pulse. I'm Lindy Griesinger.
And I'm Nikki Gasiewski.
Good morning, Portage County. The Kent Fire Department responded to an explosive structure fire in downtown Kent this morning of the former Star of the West Milling Company.
Crews are still on the scene, and our reporter Jacob is there.
So we are on Main Street in Kent right now, and that is all that is left of the former Star of the West Milling Company, excuse me, in the historic milling district. This fire started just before 9 this morning, and shortly after crews arrived, there was an explosion inside the building. I did just see a car that's on Water Street right now that is just covered in bricks. We were given no cause for the explosion or the fire, and there were also no injuries. And there was a huge response this morning. There are still crews here. We saw crews from all over Portage and Summit County. And earlier today, we heard from Kent Fire Chief Bill Myers. Let's go to that now.
We had an explosion inside the building. Unclear of why that happened at this time. And so crews, we called the second alarm. We got 6 aerials in operation. Right now, we've backed off on our water supply. We're unable to go inside the building at this time just because of the fact that the building's been compromised by that explosion. So it's mostly exterior operations, and we hope to have this continuing on until finally all the fuel is burned out. So we could be here another 5-6 hours or so.
So there are still some people that are out here watching the cleanup from the fire, but far less than there were this morning. And I talked to someone who works at Town Hall 2, which is right across the street from the mill. They said that their building was evacuated around 9 o'clock this morning. And I also talked with a woman from Streetsboro. She was coming down 43 from Streetsboro. She saw the smoke from 2 miles up Route 43 in her car. She said as she got closer, the smoke just overtook their car. They couldn't see, and the smell made her sick. Also, the city of Kent has issued a water alert. They want people to limit their use of water because of how much water they were using in this fire. Also, several roads in downtown Kent are blocked as well, so keep that in mind as you are coming down here, and we'll have much more tonight on TV2 News at 6. For now, though, live in Kent, I'm Jacob Brooks, TV2 News.
Thanks so much, Jacob. This building has over 140 years of history here in Kent. The mill was used to mill flour, often used in cakes and cookies.
Until its sale to Star of the West, it was the oldest continuous business in Kent. TV2 spoke with the Kent Historical Society. See what this piece of history means to the Kent community.
It was started in 1879 as the Peerless Roller Mill Company, and it was started by the Williams brothers, who had taken equipment from a European process and brought it to Kent. Now, we had another mill that was started by the Kent family that was down the river, close to where the John Brown Tannery Park is. But that mill was not in any way, shape, or form as great as this mill was able to do the flour.
Now the Kent Fire Department has been working on extinguishing the fire since 9 a.m. non-stop, and businesses are grateful for their work, like Taco Tantos.
They announced their social media that they'll be giving a free burrito to each firefighter that's been helping on the fire at the Mill District, and asked the community to spread the word.
Following the midterm elections and the change of the House, many are wondering what the policies like climate change will be affected.
Our reporter Kennedy Gotham spoke to Kent State University and the City of Kent about their efforts to combat the climate crisis.
Climate change has become a highly debated topic in recent years, and Kent State University, along with the City of Kent, are looking to hire a new staff member to help with sustainability in the community.
Our sustainability staff is fairly small.
Our Sustainability Commission, which is a volunteer board that reports to the Community Development Department.
The university and city are both working to create a climate action plan.
So there are a lot of ways that implementing those things will overlap. And we thought having a shared person in that role would benefit both of us.
The climate action plan would address issues within the community and find ways to improve sustainability efforts.
Without having a dedicated staff person for both the city and the university focusing on that, there is the potential for it to not move forward.
University officials and the City of Kent care about climate change, and students here on campus also feel strongly about the topic.
So to hear that they want to bring someone in that's going to take everything that we're learning and apply it to the community and benefit Kent, even if you don't go here, that's amazing.
Without new plans being developed, the climate crisis will continue to harm the environment.
It's becoming more and more important that we have to start making those plans now, because in a few years, 10 years, it's just going to keep getting worse and worse.
Reporting for TV2 News, I'm Kennedy Gotham.
Streetsboro Police have a new toolkit to help comfort and interact with people who have autism. Each patrol car now has a, quote, autism sensory kit provided by the Hussman Institute for Autism. Each kit contains a communication board, a plush dog, noise-canceling headphones, and other sensory gadgets. While they may not use these often, according to the school resource officer, Kyle French, he said it is always a possibility.
Former Councilmember Jeffrey Allen, accused of stealing cars and guns, was arraigned with his son Jeremiah Allen in the Portage County Court of Common Appeals on Tuesday. A grand jury indictment includes 28 counts of fourth-degree felony, receiving stolen property, 10 counts of stolen vehicles, and 18 counts against Jeffrey Allen for possession of stolen firearms. A jury trial on March 21st is scheduled for both men.
And the Village of Manaway has hired attorney Dean DePiero for $190 per hour of his work. DePiero was hired as an outside investigator to examine an alleged romantic relationship within the police department. In a formal complaint made by Council President Tammy Meyer, she says the council's goal is to ensure the police department is, quote, free from special treatment. Sexual violence can occur any place and at any time, and even on college campuses.
If assault occurs, there are resources available at Kent State to help students through those tough times.
Percent of women and 43% of men have experienced a form of sexual violence at some point in their life at random or by someone they know.
Risk assessment is what our brains are trained to do, but I think with sexual assault, because it involves quite often people we know, more often it involves people we know than people that we don't know.
As director of the Women's Studies College, Professor Holt feels strongly about the topic.
Sadly, always been the case because of the degree to which most sexual assault occurs in the nooks and crannies of the world where there aren't witnesses, where no one's looking on.
In 2021, 16 cases of rape were reported and 15 of them occurred in residence halls. There were also 5 cases of stalking, 10 cases of forcible fondling, and 5 cases of dating violence on Kent's campus.
I think we're really looking at something that is normalized everywhere, and perhaps the agony of a college campus is we thought we could do it better.
And there was a report that there have been a few more students coming forward.
Kent State provides several resources for students, including the Sexual and Relationship Violence Support Services, also known as SERVs.
Trying to be proactive, having the conversations, raising awareness on what it means, what consent means, what sexual assault, relationship violence, and stalking, what all of those things actually mean.
The organization works closely with students to provide them with support after they have experienced an assault or other sexual violence.
Sometimes in the hustle and bustle of filing reports and filing police reports and going into the hospital and different things, that emotional aspect and the toll that it takes on students and can take on students sometimes can be lost.
SERVES works to create a welcoming environment to support students in a time of hardship.
One of the main ways that we do it is just having an open house. And by that, I simply mean, I tell students all the time, you don't just have to come to us as a resource. We're actually located in a house with couches, with a downstairs basement, places where you could just go and relax. You can come in and read a book. You could study with friends. There was somebody in here a few weeks ago taking a nap.
Education also plays a part in spreading awareness on sexual violence.
Help make and shape and mold the future by shaping and molding children, and by providing them guidance and, helping them establish a conscience and, kind of a moral agenda.
Women are typically a target of sexual violence, and SERVES talks about positive masculinity to help educate those on how masculinity plays into sexual violence.
Creepy guys especially talk about a college campus. It's really just kind of like a sugar town. It's just easy access to a lot of pretty girls and innocent kids and opportunity.
Sometimes our thought on masculinity can play a role in power-based personal violence. Doesn't always necessarily, but sometimes it can. Even going back to thinking about how we traditionally look at masculinity.
Reporting for TV2 News, I'm Kennedy Gotham.
An altercation at Akron High School resulted in one student being stabbed. The stabbing took place at John R. Pachel Community Learning Center. School officials say the victim was involved in a fight with two other students. After the victim was struck, the suspects fled the school and remain on the loose. The victim is being treated at Akron Children's Hospital. Anyone with information is asked to call the police at 330-375-2490.
14 Akron police cruisers responded to the scene of a fight between two students at Ellett High School on Tuesday. Two freshman boys got into a fight in the restroom that morning. Later, when one of the boys' families came to pick him up, a second fight broke out between him and another student. The first fight resulted in minor injuries and the second with none. No weapons were involved.
Akron Public Schools Superintendent addresses safety concerns of teachers. In a November school board meeting, teachers and staff members spoke about increased incidences of students physically assaulting them. Superintendent Christine Fowler-Mark presented a presentation of the district's expulsion review committee, which deals with the reported behavior. The teachers union will respond to the presentation in the next few days.
After much controversy over immigration laws in the U.S., some states are taking action on the issues. What states are involved in helping immigrants?
The January 6th committee met to discuss the investigation, what decisions they made, and what does it mean for the future of the case.
The College of Public Health at Kent State University prepares students for careers in some of today's most exciting health fields. Public health professionals impact lives by monitoring clinical trials, advocating for mental health, supporting active lifestyles, and more. The College of Public Health also offers open courses for any major, including its most famous course, Zombie Outbreak. Public health students can even study abroad and are encouraged to join the Public Health Student Alliance. For more information, visit kent.edu/public health. Public health, solving our problems together.
Tomorrow's news leaders.
Today's top stories.
From an award-winning student newsroom.
This is TV2 News, truly Portage County.
Welcome back. The founder and leader of the Oath Keepers and one of his top associates were found guilty of the seditious conspiracy for plotting to keep former President Trump in office.
This was the first of 3 cases to be heard, and it was seen as a major test to hold Capitol rioters accountable. CNN's Paula Reed reports.
Stuart Rhodes, the leader of the far-right Oath Keepers militia, and one of his subordinates, Kelly Meggs, were convicted of seditious conspiracy Tuesday, the most serious charge brought so far in any of the more than 900 criminal cases stemming from the Capitol attack. Rhodes, Meggs, and 3 other defendants, Jessica Watkins, Kenneth Harrelson, and Thomas Caldwell, were all convicted of obstructing an official proceeding and several other charges.
I think that the character of January 6th is now finally sinking into the whole country.
The Justice Department alleged that the Oath Keepers conspired to forcibly stop the peaceful transfer of power and plotted to attack the U.S. Capitol on January 6th. The trial, the first of 3 seditious conspiracy cases, was a major test of the Justice Department's ability to hold January 6th rioters accountable. The lead prosecutor told the jury in his closing statement that Rhodes and his subordinates claimed to be saving the republic, but they fractured it instead. The evidence presented at trial revealed how Rhodes, a former Army paratrooper with a law degree from Yale, wrote 2 public letters urging then-President Trump to invoke the Insurrection Act, which would give the president the power to call up militants to help him remain in power.
If the fight comes, let the fight come. Let Antifa go. If they go kinetic on us, then we'll go kinetic back on them. I'm willing to sacrifice myself for that. Let the fight start there, okay? Now, give President Trump what he needs, frankly. If things go kinetic, good. If they blow bombs up and shoot us, great, because that brings the president his reason and rationale for dropping the Insurrection Act.
Prosecutors said Rhodes placed a quick reaction force of heavily armed Oath Keepers at a Comfort Inn in Arlington County, Virginia, ready to rush their weapons to Washington if needed. On the day of the insurrection, Rhodes remained outside the Capitol.
We presented a case which showed through evidence and testimony that Mr. Rhodes did not commit the crime of seditious conspiracy. There was no evidence.
The January 6th committee is preparing its final report before the panel expires in 2 months. TS expected to focus on issues beyond former President Donald Trump's actions leading up to the insurrection. JNES said their final report will include information about their security failures on January 6th, as well as information about members of Congress who failed to comply with the committee's subpoenas.
Now, President Biden has signed legislation today to avert a railway shutdown. The House and Senate both passed this legislation earlier this week after President Biden warned about the economic danger without their action. Congressional action, a railway strike could come as early as December 9th. The result could cause shortages, spikes in prices, and a halt in factory production. And a 5th bus with immigrants seeking for asylum arrived in Philadelphia from Texas on Wednesday. Officials said around 50 people, including 7 children from Del Rio, Texas, were on board on that bus that arrived around 10 a.m. Many were taken to a welcoming center that offers health screenings, food and water, and legal services. Most of the immigrants have been granted asylum, and many will be traveling farther to reunite with their families. Now we have some more news on what is going on with the war between Russia and Ukraine.
Our correspondent Elijah Chaffin has more details. Hi, Elijah.
Hi, guys. That's right. With the escalation of the war in Ukraine, President Joe Biden has raised some concern. Yesterday, Joe Biden spoke with the press and stated he is prepared to speak with Putin in hope of stopping the war in Ukraine. Many other political figures across the globe are following in Biden's footsteps, including France's president, who had a meeting with Biden yesterday. Also yesterday in Kherson, a Ukrainian city, many Russian missiles took out the power, causing a total blackout. The blackout has caused other cities and political figures in Ukraine to start stockpiling just in case there are more blackouts. Matthew Chance reports from southern Ukraine.
The devastation Russia's retreating forces left behind. A village in southern Ukraine torn to shreds and until now abandoned to this war. Valeri told me he's lived here 51 years and, after evacuating for 8 months, is home to stay, even amid this wreckage. It's like a stone weighing on my soul, he says. We built everything here with our own hands. It's hard to look at what those Russian scum did to us, he adds. A short distance away in newly liberated Kherson, a pool of blood where Russia is attacking the city it just left behind. 4 were killed when this grocery store was hit. Now one desperate resident picks through the debris, looting scraps of food and toilet paper. Is everything so bad, we ask? It's not good, he responds. All right, well, getting basic supplies, though, in Kherson has become a massive risk. We've come to the seaport, well, it's the river port, really, right on the Dnieper River, with this woman here, Tatiana, from Kherson, to collect water so she can do her washing up and wash her clothes and go to the toilet and things like that. The water supplies have been completely cut off by the Russians. this is the only way, and you can hear the artillery shells going off still in the background, this is the only way she can get water for her house. And it's dangerous because this is basically the front line. The Russian forces have retreated to the other bank, right? Ruski солдати там.
Там і далі. Там
Yeah.
і далі на цих
Yeah,
берегах.
so the Russian forces are just across the river. But the risk is one that has to be taken.
А що нам робити остається?
What can we
Не
do,
сидіти без
Tatiana
води.
asks.
Ходимо.
We can't live without water. There's little electricity either, and people are cramming into makeshift charging stations like this one just to stay connected. We found defiance here too, in the face of hardship.
Без світла і без води, але
There's no water or power, Hannah tells me, but also no Russians, so we'll get through this. What do you think? Что ты думаешь? I think our enemies will all die soon, says Nastia, who's only just turned 9. We'll show them what you get for occupying Ukraine, she says. For many, the hardships are already too much. Roads out of Kherson crammed, with residents trying to leave. But for those who stay, it is a desperate struggle to survive.
The doctor who provided an abortion for the 10-year-old girl this past summer speaks out after much controversy over her decision.
And with the holidays already here, Portage County is taking action. How you can make kids happy during this holiday season. Senate President Matt Huffman says he backs the GOP proposal that makes it harder to amend the Ohio Constitution. Secretary of State Frank LaRose and State Representative Brian Stewart proposed a resolution that would need 60% of voters to enact a citizen-initiated amendment. This would be in place of a simple majority, and LaRose says he hopes to put it on the proposal on the ballot in May. And an Ohio House passed a bill to make hoax emergency calls a felony. Swatting, which is knowingly reporting a false emergency that prompts a response from law enforcement, such as kidnapping, school shootings, or other crimes, could be prosecuted as a felony. The legislation would make swatting a third-degree felony, and if someone was physically hurt during the response, it would be a first-degree felony.
An Ohio bill to restrict transgender medical care has been postponed by Republicans until 2023. House Bill 454 would have doctors and minors follow specific steps before prescribing puberty blockers or hormones to minors. House Speaker Bob Cupp claims the bill's sponsor wants to hold the bill for next session. Representative Gary Click introduced changes to the bill before Thanksgiving and plans to reintroduce it in 2023. Doctor penalized for providing an abortion to a young girl defends herself. Dr. Caitlin Bernard treated a young Ohio girl who became pregnant because of being raped. Bernard was alleged to violate Indiana law of not reporting the girl's child abuse and telling a newspaper about the girl's treatment. She maintains the girl's abuse had been reported to Ohio police and Child Protective Services before.
The Ohio Senate votes to ban fertility fraud after a woman found she has over 90 half-siblings. An Indiana doctor who treated Ballard's parents secretly used his own sperm to impregnate not only her mother, but dozens of other patients. State senators agreed to place a ban on healthcare providers using their own genetic material on their patients without consent. The bill passed the Ohio Senate Wednesday and will move to the House next.
Holidays mean presents, and Portage County knows that. Hear how you can give back this holiday season to less fortunate in the community.
Portage County Job and Family Services is collecting gifts to help around 200 kids. They will be collecting toys from 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. this upcoming Saturday at the Portage County Administration Building. They are asking for new, unwrapped toys for kids of any age, gift cards, or cash donation. The director says the agency's goal is to give 4 gifts to each of the 172 kids in foster care. And I think this is awesome. Giving back to the community is great. I mean, getting kids as a child was awesome. How about you?
What a way to spread holiday cheer. I can imagine all those kids getting gifts that they really want this year.
I agree.
It's amazing.
Yeah. What was your favorite gift as a child?
I really loved getting an American Girl doll for Christmas.
Me too, except I never got an American Girl doll. What? I always wanted one.
Well, at least you wanted one. They were really expensive, though.
They were. I agree. Did yours look like you? Sometimes people would get it to look like you.
I know, my sister did. I just didn't.
Well, I hope one of these kids does get an American Girl doll. I think that would be awesome. And that is all the time that we have for this episode of Portage Pulse. I'm Lindy Griesinger.
And I'm Nikki Gasiewski. When TV2 is off there, stay up to date on top stories on KentWire.com and on socials at KentWire.
Thanks, Portage County. Have a great day.